Welcome back to Talking Business Weekly with me, Aaron Heselhurst. Now, in the first half of the program, we looked at how the cost of precious metals is rocketing because of a supply crisis due to the war in Ukraine. And yet, each year, we throw away electronics with tens of billions of dollars worth of these metals inside them. Among the companies tackling this is Closing the Loop. It's a Dutch company who works with telecom makers and networks to pay for old mobile phones to be collected in Africa and then brought to Europe for recycling. The Dutch government are a customer, as is the global consultancy KPMG. So I checked in with the big boss of Closing the Loop. Joost de Clover, a real pleasure having you on the show. Thanks for your time. Joost, let's start with this, the basics. I mean, how does it work?
We invented something new. So the concept of waste compensation very simply says you buy the devices that you want, don't change your procurement process. But when you buy a new device, you can make that device waste neutral. And that means that the device that you buy is compensated by the waste that my company collects. So what we're good at is collecting electronic waste in emerging markets. And we do that on behalf of our customers. As a result, we reduce waste. And that waste compensates your new device.
And then who do you sell to?
So we have the service of waste compensation, and that's used mainly B2B, but increasingly also by the industry itself, the tech industry. So you'll see, for example, if you're a direct customer, an end user, that you buy devices, which you're really happy about, all of those grand brands and devices that you love, but those devices usually are not very much aligned with your company or organizational values. So those organizations use our service so that they can buy the devices that they need, that they like, but now they can buy them in a way that's a little bit more aligned with their values.
Some may say, why don't you recycle them in Africa where you collect the phones from? Because some will say, hey, why do we need to fund this collection in Africa from Europe? Why not fund it there and do it there?
Exactly. And I think the great thing about theory is that it's perfect, it's neat, it's clean, but then you need to implement stuff, and then things get a little bit more difficult, right? So 10 years ago, when we started this company, our goal was, let's make local recycling possible. And then we found out that the whole ecosystem that would normally allow for local recycling is missing. No collection, no legislation, no consumer awareness. So we needed to start very simply, let's collect waste. And secondly, let's create a business model that funds that waste collection. And then, and that's what we're heading towards now, we can go towards local recycling. But again, you need an ecosystem to support something like that.
How many phones a year are we talking about?
Well, the opportunity to collect, you can imagine, is huge, right? 2 billion phones are sold each year across the globe. And the collection is rather low, unfortunately. Globally around 20–25%. So the opportunity to collect waste is there. But again, it's all about funding. It's all about the business model to increase and actually do that collection. So currently, we've collected some 3.5–4 million phones just about now, but we'll be scaling, especially also together with the industry, the tech industry, to a few million devices per year already next year. So that looks quite promising, I must say.
So you collect these phones, millions, from Africa, and I'm assuming you fly them back to Europe to be recycled. You know where I'm going with this. Some will say that's not the most environmental friendly way, is it?
No, I think the key thing that we've seen is that perfection is just not there, right? Especially as a starting point, you cannot do perfection. So what we're currently doing, we're shipping electronic waste out of Africa, which is a lot better than leaving it in the continent. You can imagine where people often dump or burn electronic waste. But the key thing that we're working towards is local recycling. It benefits everyone, local communities, us, because shipping waste is extremely difficult, but also the concept of waste compensation would be much stronger if we would do the recycling locally.
Talking of business, is recycling the answer? Because some will say, shouldn't phone makers make longer lasting phones, and shouldn't consumers use them longer?
Actually, the two words we hear quite often in this world is should and just, which I think reflects a little bit how people unfortunately think about sustainability, right? Just come up with a great concept and then we're done. Reality says it's very, very difficult to change anything in the market, in a production process, in consumers' minds. So yes, everything should just be a little bit different. But let's start with something that you can actually do today. It also makes commercial sense. And then let's see where we can go from there. Otherwise, we get utopian concepts that are not implemented.
And Joost, what's next for you?
Waste compensation is a concept that we developed, but it's in the market now for many years. So what we're seeing happening now, and I'm quite proud of that, is that the industry is embracing this because their customers appreciate it and they, the tech brands, can actually benefit from it. So we're teaming up with some of the biggest names in the industry to apply waste compensation for sometimes all of the devices that they sell. So this is going to scale. Waste compensation is a great concept, but most of all, it's a starting point towards circularity.
Joost de Clover, the big boss of Closing the Loop. How I've appreciated your time. Good luck with everything, and I'd love to check in with you soon.
Cheers.